and shortly thereafter I was wounded and had to be evacuated. We were being supported that day by the 781st Tank Battalion, and they lost 8 tanks trying to cross the open space to go to Sessenheim. And things got so bad that at 11 o'clock the task force commander called off the attack. And then on the night of the 20th of January, the entire 7th Army retreated 20 miles to the Motor River, which is in the direction of Hagenau, and established the winter line, and they sat there until the middle of March, when the last major offensive began by the entire front to cross the Rhine.
What happened when you got shot? Tell us when you got shot.
I was injured about 7 o'clock or 7:30 on the morning of January 19th.
What happened?
I looked up, and about 10 yards away there was a German soldier who came out of the fog in the trees, and I raised my carbine to shoot him, but I was using the Fort Benning trigger squeeze, and he was using the Heidelberg Snap It Off, and he shot first. So that was the end of my military career. After surveying the Sessenheim area, we drove north to Hagenau to visit Fortress Schönenberg, a major fortress in the Maginot Line. The tiny bit of the fortress that is above ground is certainly no indicator of what is below ground. After entering the fortress, we boarded an elevator that took us down 30 yards through solid rock to an area below the surface. There, tunnels branched out in 2 directions for 1,000 yards each. 600 troops were quartered in this fort that had its own electrical generators, underground railway system, and guns that had been designed and placed to provide covering fields of fire for many miles. These fortresses, or variations thereof, extended all the way from the Swiss border to Belgium. And, of course, across the border in Germany was the Siegfried line of fortresses. As one might surmise, in 1939, when Germany attacked France, the Germans went around the northern end of the Maginot Line. Nonetheless, this fortress that we visited was an engineering marvel and in many ways testimonial to military strategic futility. Thus ended our day, and we returned to our hotel in Hagenau, our tour of France completed. For me, the opportunity to revisit the Sessenheim area had been a special time. Our tour group spent the final night in France in Hagenau. Our hotel was across the street from a classic Alsatian cathedral. On Sunday morning, September 12, 2010, we departed Hagenau. We were so pleased that after a drive of about an hour, we crossed the Rhine into Germany and did so at Rastatt, of all places. On this Sunday, we motored to the north. We enjoyed a drive to Karlsruhe and then a pleasant visit to Heidelberg, where we had lunch in the city plaza alongside the Rhine. We enjoyed a tour of the magnificent cathedral that graces the city square. And then the final leg of our trip took us to the hotel on the outskirts of Frankfurt, close to the airport. In the hotel, we met some new tour guests who would go with Jarrett, Wilbur Jones, and Bob Sterneman on to the Ardennes area for the second leg of the tour. Fred Geyer was returning to his home in Albany, New York. We enjoyed a final dinner together in the dining room of the hotel, after which we said our goodbyes. We had been a very compatible tour group, and we had enjoyed a great time together. On the Delta flight from Frankfurt to Atlanta, I reviewed our journey in my mind's eye. It had been a very successful trip. I appreciated the time and effort that Justin had devoted to the conception of the trip, as well as his detailed planning and execution. In general, all had gone well. We were blessed with good weather, and we were there at a good time of the year. Wilbur and Jarrett dealt efficiently with our itinerary. The tour group was quite small, and all of us had a great interest in the subject of military history. It would have been great if we had been able to spend more time in Strasbourg, Colmar, Besançon, and the areas around Sarreguemines, Saint-Dié, and Ittersweiler. However, we did use our time wisely and effectively. How then does one describe this entire odyssey? William Shakespeare probably said it best when he told us all, "All's well that ends well."